I have been busy this morning with some other things, and Angel with a garbage run to get the trash out of this place here. And now I hear the backhoe, and let's see what he's up to. I have an idea what he might be working on, and I'm going to show you once I turn the corner. Yep, as I expected, he is cleaning this up, and the idea is that we want to close this wall so that we have a dry room to store things. There were other buildings here that we demolished, and unfortunately the excavator driver made a slight mistake and therefore destroyed this wall, and since then it has been open. And now we want to regain the space. It is a bit sad when a wall tumbles down and destroys a rack with stuff in it. Now we are finding some of that stuff, and it was an accident, but it's still sad that this happens. And of course it's not that we planned for it, it just happened because someone was doing a job. So now we can see the original floor there. We do want to remove this door there. There is no idea to have an entrance here. We just want to close this so that on the inside it stays dry. That's why we are doing this. But the door we should remove because it's just unnecessary. In the past, that was the entrance to the kitchen of the previous owner, or the previous owner before the previous owner. Like that. That is from the 1980s, early 1980s. And in case you are wondering, yes, the guys have been fighting. Apparently someone said a bad word and then they started the fight. And when two of them fight, all four of them fight. Because it's an opportunity to raise in rank. That's by instinct, there's nothing I can do. It's just normal when you have a pack of dogs. What you see here is the floor of the kitchen, where that family that originally built all this in the 1980s used to cook. And there in between there was the wall, and when the excavator removed this, this kitchen area here, it destroyed, unfortunately, that wall. Originally we wanted to keep this wall, and now we are fixing this mistake from back then. And to the gentleman who thought, yeah, you need to clean up. Yeah, exactly, that's what we are doing. But we are not removing everything to build something new. Why should we, before we know what we need? So we do this as we go, as we need it. And now we have a need. And the biggest need is the thing over there. That is the next real building job. So people wanted to know what the rain did, how full are all the different places where we can store water, and now I am going to show you that. So I am walking here, what we call A13, traditionally our best paddock. We did remove the strings from this fence here, and I am walking towards the sediment trap. That is where the journey on our part with the water begins. You can see a little footpath that the horses created, and I already know that the sediment trap is full. It is also a little bit overflowing, not violently, but there is some flow of water, because whatever comes from the top, from the neighbor's land, ends up here. And the idea is that it loses the sediment here, and then, as more or less clean water, continues its journey to the irrigation pond. And I can also mention this again. So we excluded this here, and our intention is, on a nice day like today, but unfortunately it's Saturday and nobody else is here, so we want to plant here most of the things that were left from planting the Miyawaki forest. So kind of a different type of Miyawaki forest. This will not get irrigation, so it has to deal with the summer on its own, but experience now tells us that those plants that are left, pine trees mostly, they survive. So over the next few months until June, they should be able to make roots and therefore be able to live here. Also, there is no irrigation. And this looks very nice. And I hope we will be doing more things all around its bank once the time comes. That's earmarked for something, but it doesn't matter that I talk so much about future things, because it might be a long way out. So now you see this fort here, or fort, is wet and slightly overflowing, and here you can see there is also some standing water. It's basically what is being backed up because of the other fort further down. A while ago we planted some vetiver here, but it got destroyed by the animals, and then there was no irrigation. There is still a line that we need to remove. We are in a process of cleaning up, so step by step all these artificial things that we are not using, they will be removed from the land. So basically there, where we will not work, we will put it back as it was before. So all the fences that we built and are not using anymore, we will remove. And the reason is, for the horses we don't need managed grazing. It's only 2 or 4 horses at the moment, and actually it's probably for a long time only 2, because the other 2 are with the blind Sakahawea and her friend Tuscarora. So there is a seeing horse and a blind horse, and the idea is to keep them together. And the other two horses basically have this whole area here. So they have, yeah, roughly the same area. Well, here this area, this is bigger than what the other two have, but it is more than enough. And this area, for example, here is also excluded. So we will exclude a little bit to do other things as time permits and there's opportunity. The pump from at the outflow from the water reservoir, that's this pipe, is off. So whatever you see here is from the rain, and it came down from the neighbor. So it's not what fell here, but it's the accumulation. And I'm going to walk all the way towards the pond. There's not so much to tell you, but you can see how things look like on a sunny day. There's always the sunshine after the storm. And that irrigation pond where we have the duckweed, lemna, is completely full. And the two flotation devices have found a different place to float. So there you can see it in all its glory. It looks nice. These two things will go nowhere because at least the metal part is attached to the two ropes that you might see left and right. So this is full. And now it's a little bit unfortunate. I was hoping that we would have the money available to make this pond larger and dig another one, but unfortunately we don't. So this has to wait. But it's a bit of a pity because we have a lot of water here, and the next rain basically makes the additional water flow away. And that's sad. And then we will be short in summer. But we will see how the economic situation will develop. I just need an IT project, and once I have it, then all problems are solved. That's usually how it goes. So when you do what I do, then it's basically you are in a castle and everything is nice and there is no shortcoming of resources. And after a while, when all the resources have been used and used up, then you live on the bridge. So right now it's under the bridge, so we need to be careful where we use the money for and where we spend it. So there is also more standing water, and I'm not going to walk over there, but there in the distance on the other side, in that little trench, there is certainly also standing water. And this is the beginning of autumn, so we definitely will get more water. It's quite interesting to have this filled to the brim with one major rain event. And like I keep saying, it won't be the last. There will be several of this size. Now that I am here, I can actually do a quick detour up there to have a look at the cypress trees. Angel added support, but at least one has already toppled over, including the support, because of the heavy rain. So this needs fixing. And let's walk through here so that you can see a little bit more. This also toppled over, but that's irrigation. It's not so important at the moment. As you might have seen in another video, we get frequent visits of wild boars. They of course destroy things by scratching and digging. So this looks nice. Maybe these cypress trees that have no green, light green things on the top will also come back. We will see. It's a bit unfortunate that we had a challenge now that nursery is automated and gets watered 3 times a day, but it wasn't. And yeah, we wanted to plant these things a lot earlier than we did. But okay, they weren't very expensive. But still, it's a loss, and it's sad. Should not be the case. But if some of them survive, that is still a positive thing. I ordered them thinking that we might be able to do things quickly. So this definitely needs to be fixed, because it's one of the cypress trees that is greening up. So I guess I will take the camera down in a moment and try what I can do without any tool. And most are looking okay. And you can also see that there, where the ground wasn't disturbed, there is grasses. And also these guys here. It's just positive. So before I take care of the cypress, let me show you that. So here we have the sun hemp. The sunflowers mostly died, but that's okay, still biomass. And as you can see, now with the rain, this works a lot better now. And it's not cold, so I'm running around here in a t-shirt, as you have seen, and I'm slightly sweating already. So this is certainly the right temperature for this. So this will close up. There is no intention to harvest this. The idea is biomass. So green manure. So that this just grows here and is there. And later we want to plant palovnia trees. But that later is not going to be this spring. This spring we will do something over there, which is right next to the farmyard. So we will not do anything that is not adjacent to the farmyard. Only things that are directly bordering the farmyard or in the farmyard. And then we will take care of the next area, and so on. So no activity where we need to drive to and then do something there. No, the idea is step out of the farmyard and do something there once the farmyard is nice, and then step out further, which means this area there and on the other side, so all around. But first comes the farmyard itself. There's still a lot of things that we need to do. Infrastructure and also plants. And the infrastructure actually comes first. But while we wait on something, we can use the resources that we have and do something that doesn't cost anything significantly. And that is then something like plant a few trees there. So now let me take care of this guy here. Maybe I managed to do this. So I managed to do this by using the tension of the tree trunk, but the next time there's wind, this again will topple over because it's now bent and it wants to lay down. So this tension needs to be resolved first. And I don't have a tool that I can pounce this in, and I don't even have a big enough stone. So this is something where we need to come back for this. But at least now it is upright, and maybe it will stay there until Monday, or I'll come back tomorrow. I need to run out and buy some gas, so therefore I can't do much at the moment. And when I will be back, it will be dark. And on the way out, I also want to film a little bit the Miyawaki forest that you guys have been asking about. So you will see this in this very same video. Well, before I go to the Miyawaki forest, I want to show you this. So this water is clear. So the big sediment trap does work. And this is another sediment trap, but it's now only for the rest of the sediment that still is in the water. And it is very nice and clear. So this is exactly what we want. No sediments in the big pond. Also here you can see very well the bottom, it is crystal clear. So I'm very happy with that. So here I am across from the Miyawaki forest. I'm showing you across the fence, the neighbor's land. The sheep are out. And I also noticed that the neighbor on that side also has animals now there. There are some cows. Maybe I can show you them a little bit later when I come to the other side there. And here we also removed the string and the white band. Only have the fence posts. And the material was bad anyway. After some time that is what happens. And how do I proceed? Yeah, I probably should walk around here first so that you can see this part. So let me jump over this. We had built a nice door, but as you can see there are some strings and there's a pallet in front of it. So it's easier to just jump this. But it's operational, it would work. So let's see. So this was expected because the irrigation did not work here and the soil was too dry and those plants already had issues. But there are some things that have survived. Here for example. So oak trees there, and there's something there what's called hara. I see pine. I also see Mediterranean herbs and I see more pine. So there in this difficult area there are survivors, and there should be enough when they grow to cover this. Of course it would be nice to have a lot more, but it's working. So this is the worst part here. And there are green pines and other things, so that's what we wanted. And this image continues to here. And no, the wild boars have not been in here, so this is just from the rain and as it was left. Right here in front of me is also a small pine. And from now on I need to be careful where I step, because here on that side there are more things that we have planted, and they are mostly all alive or coming back. This depression has a little bit of water, and you can see the grasses have also taken over, so they cover the ground very nicely. And of course it's disturbed soil, so now that is a lot easier. Like I said, I need to be careful. The ground is very, very soft. I actually don't like to go in there, so I better stay at the edge. But it of course does not allow you to see more on the inside here. I guess I will have to fly over it. So another opportunity, I will fly the drone. So let me go out again and walk around the perimeter. Of course, this is not the right camera that I have with me right now. It's a very wide angle lens. It's to film yourself or things that are close up. And I thought I can combine two things and show you this while I am on my way to buy gas. So I will now walk there, but on the outside. So let's see. It is all wet here where I am. So once I am past this very wet spot, I can be closer. So there. And you can see a lot of the Mediterranean herbs are a lot taller. So they have grown, and it's now their growing season. Because now the temperatures are right, and there's moisture, and naturally they now grow. And see, this guy here, for example, there are several of that. Or here, all these, they sprung back to life. There's even asparagus, the bushy, thorny one there. Not bad. Of course, you can't expect that we have now tall trees here, but we have a lot of things that are now growing, and the losses are there, but not substantial. Because if you remember, we planted 5 per square meter, and I think every square meter has definitely several plants. In the height of summer, that looked a lot worse. So it has worked out. So for a Mediterranean forest, I think that's absolutely fine. So let me go through this here, so that I stay close to the fence. But I still maintain my opinion that a different way, and different plants also, that is the important part, is what I would like to do going forward. So I don't think that this is wrong. No, it isn't. It is great. But in terms of making biomass and getting the soil fertile, instead of just maintaining something that used to be here for a long time, I think the other method, Paulovnia trees, irrigation and chop and drop, it is more efficient if the goal is to make good soil. But if you want to restore a Mediterranean forest, yeah, that's what we have here. So I'm happy with that. And I'm pretty sure that this will be a nice patch once all these things have grown taller. So, not wrong at all. But of course it will take a long time. Because all of these plants, especially the trees in here, they grow very slow. So I will probably not see this being really tall like these oak trees. It's impossible. So until the replacement for this big tree has grown, that will be a while. And I have to admit, here I'm a bit selfish. I do want to do things where I can see and feel the benefit while I'm in good condition. I don't know how old I'm going to be. Nobody knows that. But let's say I get to 90. Yeah, I would like to enjoy this a little bit earlier. So it's nice, and I'm grateful that we have been gifted all these plants. And also I'm grateful for the volunteers I help that came here to help. And we invested also in labor. We had local people paying, working for money to plant all this. So it's now there and it's working. And even between these things there is other things growing. So there are pine trees. And I know over there on the other side, I showed this the last time, there are some young oak trees that we did not plant. They are from the acorns falling from the mother oaks there. So, like I said, it's not a failure. And here, there is ground cover that also emerged during summer. And in between, there's all the other stuff. So this looks very nice. Not grass, but another type of ground cover. So I'm happy. And as I'm here in this narrow path between the two fences, the one here to the left, this area, I can show you this also. This is the receiving pen where we got some pigs a while ago to get them used to the electric fence. And you see, this has been left abandoned, but it has a lot of biomass because we added a truckload of straw, for example, here. And the pigs, of course, did their thing. So this has seen a lot of growth. And now we have grasses emerging out of all of this. So I expect this to be completely overgrown by spring. I'm not sure what we are going to use it for. But that is something we might use or not use for the time being. Like I said, the idea at the moment is to focus farmyard. And once the farmyard is nice, the surrounding areas, step by step. And once the money is available, we will build a workshop. And that workshop will then extend into a house. So house and workshop are basically one building connected, so they share a wall. And in the future I can walk from the house into the workshop and do some things there, especially in summer, in a climate controlled very large room. And there we can work on the more sophisticated things that we would like to do, so that we have, for example, a device that feeds pigs in an automated way. This involves using the silo that the previous owner built and we inherited it. So step by step there will be the moment where we either repurpose or remove old things that are from the previous owners. The cortijo, for example, will serve as a place for volunteers. We definitely finish the bathroom so that this is in very good order, so that people can be there. I have to admit, because the building is not insulated, it is too cold during winter and it is too hot during summer upstairs, where we have 8 very good camping beds. But during spring and autumn, like right now, that works out. But you still need a sleeping bag, especially now in autumn. But it works out, and there's also heating, but there's no cooling, and that's the problem. When it gets too hot, then there's not much that you can do other than put a fan there, which also exists, but yeah, it could be nicer. There are some plans for the future to make things a lot nicer, but this is too far out. So just mentioning that we will do more of that kind of infrastructure when the time comes. But first comes the workshop and infrastructure in the farmyard itself. And when that is done, then we set new priorities. You can have a look, by the way, at our website kaimito.eu, and there you can see a lot of projects that we are thinking about or have partially planned. More details to follow, obviously. You can also see that some of them have been scheduled for the beginning of this year, when we are now at the end. But it doesn't matter. The MIYAWAKI Forest showed up. And so we have a plan. We do know what we want to do. But of course we need to go at the pace that we can afford. And by afford I mean money, but also manpower. And money becomes not an issue when I am working, but I'm not working in the field. I am not a farmer. I do IT stuff. And that is when I have a big project that finances the other things. So that is the moment when I can buy material, tools, machines, and I can pay people in whatever form. And when that's not the case, we slow down. So it's totally normal. Slow down. We won't stop completely. But then we do things where the money is not the limiting factor. We can use a lot of things. For example, right now we have a lot of material from before, and we are now finding ways how to put this to good use and move us ahead. And there was a gentleman who remarked that everything looks like a chaos and everything is dirty and things like that. And he was also mentioning that we did not care for the pasture areas, the old pasture areas. I have to say, there are no old pasture areas. The pasture areas that exist, we built. Before, there were no fences. There were nothing. The land looked worse than the land that I can show you here on the other side, because it was overgrazed and destroyed. So whatever has been nice, we made nice. But then the cattle business turned out to be economically disastrous, and it makes no sense to finance something at a loss when there is a more effective way. So I keep mentioning this sad case when you raise a bull over 4.5 years, which then has a slaughter weight of 420 kilos, and you get €1,000 in return. that is not sustainable. It was good for the land, it helped, but I have to work for the difference. And then several people played dirty tricks and created problems. They stole, they committed fraud. There are legal processes going on. And of course the Spanish society will, in one case, definitely punish one of those people. It's not my business. I have no interest. I'm not out for revenge or something like that. I don't care. But the Spanish society does not want this to happen. And so therefore the officials, the state attorney or so, the prosecutor, they will take care of this. I just reported what happened. And so these things will not repeat. And therefore, the more effective way is to use the money that I'm going to make by continuing with my IT business to plant. So we will now exclude areas. You see, right now, there was the fence. That was an electric fence, a semi-permanent thing, but it can be removed. And now we remove the strings and the white band. And what used to be pasture area A8 for managed grazing is now, again, an open area. So now the animals, the 2 horses at the moment, they can roam freely and they can do whatever they want. Because it's just 2, there is no risk of overgrazing. I will not introduce other grazing animals at this point. Why should we? So the horses roam and graze, and what we achieved so far will continue. And here and there a wild boar comes and uproots, that's fine. Of course, the acorns that all these trees are now producing, I guess you can see them. Maybe I step a little bit closer. They are kind of going to waste because there is no Iberico pig that will turn them into bacon. Actually, they are not after bacon, they are after ham. So there will be no ham because we don't have any pigs. And until we can automate their handling, I'm not going to feed animals on the weekend because I have a full-time job and I also need some rest. So I'm not going to feed the animals manually on a weekend. Therefore, until we have discovered by some sort of automation, after all, this is also a very interesting topic, there will be no pigs. And so the acorns go to waste. No, they plant new trees. So that's also okay. And later, when we have this better covered, we will then introduce animals, but in a different way. And we will see. There will certainly be pigs involved, but we will see what other. I don't see cattle. Because cattle, here in this area, because of the economic situation, slaughterhouse, supermarket, and everything else, does not work. So for those from the US, for example, or other places where this is better organized, let me explain this part. So here, you don't have a situation where people want to buy organic meat directly from the farmer. They want to know how the animal lived, how it was raised. People are not interested in that. They want it cheap. That's the only consideration. So they buy it at a butcher or in the supermarket, but they don't ask these questions. And there is no butcher around who slaughters himself. They don't do this. This has to do with regulations and the business climate in the past, so they all stopped butchering or slaughtering and then butchering. So they don't do this anymore. What they do instead is they order meat bags from a slaughterhouse. And then they have a bag of, let's say, 20, 30 kilo that is already half prepared. And then they will cut this into the slices, let's say, that the customer in front of the counter is asking them for. That's all. And in the supermarket, you can see the kitchen ready pieces of meat in plastic boxes. And that's how it works. So whatever you know from your place, how a butcher shop works, they don't work this way here. For these reasons and a few others. So it makes no sense that we try to get into this market with a high quality product. Nobody wants it. Nobody wants to pay the price. And if you think about, you can ship this to the rest of Europe, yeah, there are the other problems that we talked about in other videos. So when DHL sells you a door-to-door contract and the driver refuses to come to your place to pick up the package, despite the fact that his employer sold you the service, there is not much that you as a customer can do. The company has an employee who refuses to do the work. And everything else is another different topic. So I spoke about this before. And there is no point in doing that again right now. So therefore, we will do other things. And therefore, there will be no bovines. Maybe at some point we get 1 or 2 milk cows for something special. Maybe. But for the foreseeable future, I only see us doing infrastructure, excluding areas with new fencing that is like this, so very nice and straight fencing and stable, that is basically there to protect what is on the inside. So the wild boar and any pigs that we might have, they will stay outside, and on the inside something grows. And maybe we have some poultry on the inside. Maybe. We will see. But we definitely will not do ranching anymore. So that's the proper term. So we tried ranching. It helped the land. But we will not do this again. So we have now shifted our focus. We will plant and learn how to automate things so that basically 2 people, Angel and I, can manage this. So us humans are for designing and for maintenance. But we are not the ones moving around 40 kilo feedbacks. That we will not do. I hope that helps a little bit.